And I feel ashamed or embarrassed to admit that because like we don't lack anything. Like we just mentioned, I have so much to live for and so much I should be grateful for. I am grateful for, excuse me. What's up, guys? Welcome to Not Your Daddies, your future favorite podcast. My name is Pete.
And I am Eric. And in today's episode, we are going to talk a little bit about everything.
A lot of things. Like always.
Yeah, so we did a little 5K and it's called Turkey Trot, and it was Thanksgiving morning. And
it started at 7:30, and I woke up super early because I think I was just nervous that we were gonna, sleep in. So I put the alarm for like 6 o'clock or 5:10, 5:50. I'm not sure, but yeah, I woke up early.
I know. I noticed that usually you wake up earlier than me, and when I woke up, I heard your first alarm, and I swear I forgot that we were doing the 5K. And
to be honest, I forgot to, and I was like, I was so sleepy, and I'm like, why did I put an alarm? And I turned off the first one, the second one, and the third one. I was like, oh yeah, and then I was like, oh, I don't even want to get up.
That's what I thought.
But since we had the t-shirts,
the alarm if we're not going to the gym today. But then I forgot, and I was gonna say let's not go, but you had all the
yeah. So one of our friends who organized the whole Turkey Trot got a big group of us from the CrossFit gym. Excuse me, and she wasn't able to pick up the shirts the day prior. So Eric and I went. I picked them up. There was a huge line inside. It took a while. So yeah, I had the shirts, and then I just told everybody like, I'll give everybody their things that morning before the race starts. And I was so close to saying like I don't want to go, but I'm like, oh, we have to go because of the shirts.
You know what? I'm actually glad we went because
yeah, it wasn't too bad.
I honestly didn't think I was going to
make it.
You know me. You know how I'm not a runner and how I don't do 5Ks and all of that.
Like, but you don't run in general?
No, I don't run.
He has a lot of problems with his feet.
So I was surprised at the beginning, mostly where I was able to do, I want to say, how much is that? Like maybe like half a mile from the finish line to the, I think it's half a mile.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's about a half a mile or close to.
So when I did that, and then that's the first time that I had to take a break rather than when I'm running and I have to stop all the time. But the fact that I was able to do it like the whole consistently, I think that is a plus for me. And you know what? I'm actually gonna make that my highlight of the.
There you go. Jumping into that already.
I am normally okay. So just because we were talking about it, and I'm gonna make that my highlight of the week, is that I was actually able to finish the 5K in sooner time than I expected, and I wasn't dying. Normally, I'm dying.
So every week we have a segment in the podcast where we talk about something good that happened throughout the week and something not so good.
We call it our highlight and our low point of the week. That is going to be my highlight. I actually had chosen something else because, well, I guess it goes together because since we started working out, I feel better because
little steps.
Yeah, I even though I'm so sore and we haven't worked out in a while, just the fact that we were actually motivated to go this week, it just makes me push me even more with the 5K where it's like, okay, if I can do it then, and we hadn't been working out.
If I can do it, you can do it too.
It kind of sounded like that, right?
Yeah.
But if I can do it like without, I didn't not practice it.
Did you remember what you did the last time we did one 5K, which was like months ago?
Yes. But what time it was?
Yeah, like obviously you improved a lot.
It was like 40 something, 47, 48. It was almost an hour. Because I walked most of it. Remember when my feet were like really killing me? And I'm gonna be honest.
Was it the one that we did in the convention center?
It was the one that we did
at the convention center. Or whatever?
Yeah, it was that one because, and I finished practically last. But I was dying so bad in that one, and the weather I feel was better then than it was this morning. So that was a big step, and I think it also had a lot to do with maybe. I don't know. I feel like I felt heavier than I did now. So my body
I was
wasn't.
going to say maybe because you've lost weight as well.
Yeah, maybe my body wasn't. My legs weren't getting all the weight now than they were then. So
Taking some like heavy steps.
yeah. So those shoes that I got at the place. So we went to this. It's called Fleet. And they do like they analyze your feet, or they do like measurements and all of this.
Like a foot analysis.
Yeah, a foot analysis to see what type of shoes are good for your feet. Because I have a flat foot.
They literally scan your whole foot. It's like a 3D thing. And
I know.
It's really cool.
It's actually pretty cool, yeah. And so I went and this was months ago, and I got some shoes that they recommended. And at first, the few times that I wore them, honestly, I didn't feel a difference. And then I've been wearing them all this week. I had to put them away. You know how I had them like in the closet and
you forget about them.
Yeah. So I took them out this week, and I was like, I'm going to start wearing them and see how that worked. And honestly, it had been making me feel better during like when we were doing like the treadmill at the gym and all of that. So I feel like that kind of I made me think like, okay, maybe I can do the 5K with these. And sure enough, I did. My shins weren't hurting, my ankles weren't hurting. Aside that, I wore like the little ankle
the compressor
thing. So I think that helped a lot. And if this can push me to not be as fast as you, but at least because Pete is pretty fast when he runs, I think. And he'll do like the 5 miles right away. I'll do 3 and he'll do 5, like at the park when we do.
When we used to be very consistent about going jogging pretty much every morning after our CrossFit classes. I started off like with a mile, and then I graduated to like 2, then the 3, then the 4, then it was like 5 every day. But I think I hurt myself. That's why I stopped running.
It was that.
Yeah, because I overdid it.
After a while, myself. I was like, I'm gonna just take my bike and you can run. And not because I couldn't do it. So I would just take my bike. But hopefully we'll be able to pick it up on Monday when we start again. I feel like we all say, I'm going to start working out again on Monday. But really, we did start on a Monday. And then...
Unknowingly.
Yeah. And then now we can start the running. Now I am going to start running. Going to try to start running. I think
just do like little portions so you don't like hurt your feet.
Yeah.
And then, the more you get used to it, you'll kind of like be able to progress as you go.
And I think that's going to hopefully help me get more stamina with like the cardio.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, once I get in the mood, guys, of working out, like when we were being so consistent, I'm going to say it, and I feel like Eric's going to be like roll his eyes, but I feel like because I was so set on going every day, I was like having to drag both of us. So I'm pretty sure he appreciated that I was like on it. Like it was like every morning we'd go to the CrossFit, or then we'd go to Golds or go run afterwards or something. And it was a constant.
I do appreciate it.
But I feel like I burnt myself out, and then, some stuff happened. But we're slowly getting back into it. And no lie, that was going to be my highlight of the week. Yeah, because it's something so small, but you know what? Just making that effort of going to the gym those few days we've gone this week, and then unknowingly about the turkey trot. I mean, I didn't forget about it, but it almost seemed like coincidental that we started working out and then going. Then we had the turkey trot, so kind of like we started slowly building up our momentum again to start working out. But I hate going to the gym, but once we get going, I don't mind it because I'm in the zone.
I like going to the gym. I just don't like waking up.
It's the getting there part.
It's the getting part. Getting there part that it's like, oh my gosh. So I feel like the times that we've been going, which has still morning time, but it's just not 6 a.m. like we used to. I feel like that is a good time for me because then I know that I'll make it. Rather than before where it's like 6 a.m. and it was like an everyday thing and then having to drive. And it's like, oh. Here at the gym, we used to go to CrossFit. We haven't gone in a while, I'm not sure if I will probably want to keep going, but the fact that we're going to the gym,
we're doing something.
The gym, our gym, which is Gold's Gym, we have it offers so many things, and they do have a CrossFit section. So this last time that we went, we did a workouts that we remembered from the CrossFit. But they have all these classes where, as far as like HIIT and like yoga and Zumba and all of that, and they have a pool, and I
told Eric, like, if we're gonna start going to Gold, I really want to take advantage of all the classes. So that's gonna be like my thing. I want to do the classes, obviously do weights, and then focus. Not slack on the movements we were doing for CrossFit, because once we do go back, I don't want to like start off from level one again.
0.
Yeah.
So what's your low point of the week?
Low point of the week. I'm not sure.
I don't think I have one. We've been pretty productive this week.
Yeah, like we've been really well. It's not really a low point, but just learning to take a little breaks, because we have been pretty productive this week, which I'm grateful for, as far as like a lot of things. But like I was telling you the other day, that I felt really, I don't know, like I got a headache and like, felt overwhelmed. But I already knew why, because I didn't I was like literally woke up with my phone in my hand, with a coffee after I, did what I had to do in the morning to get ready. And then I was just sitting down, editing videos, posting videos, and it was like a all day thing. And I think the screen got to my head.
It does get to you simply because there's so much going on. So you'll have to go from...
I got overstimulated with everything.
Yeah, so you'll go from TikTok to Instagram to YouTube. It's like going back and forth. And
for like several accounts.
Yeah, so it also doesn't help that you're looking at your screen. Like
and I have the blue eyes, the blue. I have those lenses for like the blue screen or whatever they're called. I have some there, and I thought about it afterwards when I had the hugest headache. I'm like, oh my god, I could have had that on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's
but
true. Also normally you take off your glasses.
Yeah,
to look at your screen.
But I also remember I had my big headphones on most of the day because I wanted to like not hear anything.
I can't wear those all day because I think it'll give me a headache.
That's what happened to me. I think it was like over everything, overstimulated with the screen, too small, the headphones.
I know. Yesterday I was like, once we get home, put your phone away. You're not going to work on anything. You're going to do anything. You're just going to watch a movie or whatever. And then he fell asleep.
Yeah, I was so tired. And in case you guys are watching, like paying attention, if you see me like messing with my neck, that's why we got here and I fell asleep on the sofa and my neck is killing me right now. So I'm like trying to, twist it around. But yeah.
With that
this isn't even really a bad thing. Like
we were working. It was good. It was a good week. So the fact that we don't have a low point of the week is a good thing. So, but with that said, what are you grateful for? Since it's Thanksgiving weekend.
I'm grateful for a lot of things. Grateful for obviously all the materialistic things that we have, which are important because I'm talking about our house. We don't lack anything. We always want stuff, but honestly, it's always like it's unnecessary. But like the important things, food, home, all the basic stuff I'm always grateful for. And I've been grateful for that. We've been keeping busy with work and, we've been productive in general with a lot of other projects that we had kept pushing to the side and just all that.
Me too.
All in everything. There isn't anything in particular I'm going to say I'm grateful for this one moment. I'm just grateful for everything in general.
Notice how you didn't say I'm grateful for you.
Well, that includes you. Hello.
Then fine, same. I'm grateful for that. No, but yeah, I'm grateful for everything that, all the new chapters, I guess, that have been
changes
have been going on for us. So, obviously, I'm always grateful for everything that we don't have, and that we have, and that we don't have too, because everything that we have is we've worked our butts off for it. So I'm grateful for that, for my family, for you. And
obviously that came as a
he generalized bubble. Everything, and
I know
he's going back. Okay, let me edit my list of what I'm grateful for.
And like cut the cameras, start over again.
But they know, and
I don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm just like with our family or friends. Of course not. Like they everybody means a lot to me, in their own ways.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And then, I show it more than Pete does.
Yeah, I'm emotional, but I keep it all in. So I don't. I'm not the type to be like, oh, sending you a text or in person, like, very, what's the word?
Affectionate.
Affectionate. There we go.
I am extremely affectionate.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So to the point, sometimes I feel where it's like, I don't, empalagoso. I don't know how you say that in
Smothering.
Smothering. I think I smother, but I like it. And
I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's definitely not a bad thing. And I'm not cold. Like some people I feel are cold, but I feel like I'm just kind of reserved.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I guess
I'm probably the worst person to give a surprise to, because you won't get that reaction. We're like, oh my God. Well,
I know.
You're rare. I think it's happened rare where I'm actually like, but it's not like a over the top.
It's
Oh my
never
God.
happened.
And I wish I could be like that, where people are so like super genuinely surprised. And I am surprised. I'm just very reserved with my reaction.
I know. I try to surprise him all the time, and this is his reaction. In case you're watching and not listening. His reaction. Oh, yeah. So it makes me feel
Doubt.
like is that a good surprise? Is it not a good surprise? But yeah, I mean, other than that, I would expect that he would be really good surprise, because I give him good surprises.
Yeah. Whether it's something materialistic or whatever. Or the other day he caught me off guard. He brought me flowers when I was cooking, and I was like, oh, okay, like those are nice.
That should be your highlight of the week, because that was this week.
Yeah, that was this week. But I'm like, but I was like, oh, those are nice. Unexpected little things. I guess I get cut off guard, so I don't know like how to react. But yeah, just a little tidbit.
Thank you so much to SeatGeek for sponsoring this portion of this video. If you guys don't already, SeatGeek is where you should be grabbing your tickets for any upcoming events, from concerts, festivals, Broadways, sports, and more. Head over to SeatGeek, use code ARIQ, ARIQ, to get $20 off your first ticket.
In every episode, we are doing an Am I the Asshole segment. And we are going to let you read your first one. So, Am I the Asshole is a Reddit. In case you don't know what it is a Reddit, all these Reddit stories of people that, well, technically it's from everywhere, but we have gotten them from Reddit. And people will say, am I the asshole for this and this? And they give all these different scenarios. And Pete found one, and he's about to read his.
And I screenshot it this time.
Yes, good thing.
Okay, so let's start off with, am I the asshole for telling my parents their marriage is sad and that they need to get a divorce? I, 14 female, am the youngest child of my mother, who we'll call Ma, 46 female, and my father, who we'll call Pa, 45 male. My parents have been married for 20 years and their relationship is anything but pretty. Ever since I was really young, my parents fought over the stupidest of things, and every single time, Pa was always the reason of their fights, since he has always found a reason to be upset. Yesterday, Ma and Pa had spent the entire morning fighting and yelling about something that I don't even know what it was about, since I was not really paying attention. But what I heard was my dad was threatening a divorce, and my mom was saying they should get one. They always say they're going to get a divorce, but they never end up doing that. So, as they were fighting and threatening each other with divorce, I walked out of my bedroom and said that they should get a divorce because of their marriage is sad, and that I'm getting tired of hearing them fight over stupid stuff. My mom said I went too far insulting their marriage by calling it quote-unquote sad, and my dad is not talking to me because of what I said. I feel like I am in the wrong because it's not my place to tell my parents what they should and shouldn't do with their marriage, but I also feel like I'm not in the wrong because I am righteously upset since they've been fighting since I was really young about the same problem. I mean, this is coming from your child, so like who else? I don't want to say who else who better to tell you what's wrong with your marriage, because every relationship is different and every marriage has their own issues internally. But if your children are like realizing that you're not happy as a couple, and if anything is maybe like affecting, besides you guys, it's affecting the family, then it should like be a mirror or reflect back to you, make you think should we get counseling? Are they right? Do we fight too much? Like, it should have raised so many red flags because your children, and she's already, a teenager. She's 14. She's not like a little kid just talking without knowing what she's, what she's talking about. I don't know. I just feel like she maybe approached it the wrong way, but I do feel she is in the right because she's in the family. She's, she's a child. She's with their children. She's like intertwined in that relationship.
I feel that I don't feel that she would be the asshole for saying it. I do feel, like you said, it could have been a different approach because obviously a relationship is two people, whether it's your kid, whether it's people want to get involved, or it's your kids, your in-laws, and anybody, it's just between them two. But they also need, if she says that they've been fighting for since she was a little girl, then there's something that they need to evaluate as far as I honestly feel like divorce is the last option. I think if, like you said, get some counseling, try to do
more than anything, just talk to each other.
The communication is obviously important, and if they're always fighting and they feel like, okay, how is this?
There should be a reason, like a source, as to where it all begins.
How is this going to get better? Is it going to get better? Because you don't want to live your entire life living with somebody who you're always going to fight with. Like, what life is that as far as
to be so drained?
I'm sure it's super draining. Your kids are going to move out. They're going to leave. And then you're still going to be stuck with this person. And neither one of you did anything to find a resolution for it. And I feel that it could either go either way. Like, could get better or could get worse.
And I feel like if it gets better, awesome. I feel like everybody's goal in a relationship, whether that's friendship, family, or, I was going to say like a love relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like their goal should be to always work things out. But if you get to dig in around and you find there's more problems that are worth staying in a relationship, you should, and everybody's different, obviously, because, emotions get to you and whatever. But I feel like if you're being two adults, you should respect each other's needs. And, maybe you're going to reach the reality that you aren't happy with each other. And that's okay. Like, we talked about that last time, where you run to a certain point where some relationships, they run out, and it's, it can be two adults separate, go their best ways. I think better for two adults or anybody to come to an agreement that they're no longer fit for each other, rather than just exhausting themselves to the point where, so many things could happen, so many bad things could happen.
Although I feel that divorce should always be the last option.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, for that to be the last part.
I do feel that not every marriage
is meant to last.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but that's a reality.
Right now, I feel like almost every marriage ends in divorce, but because a lot of people just feel that it's easier to just get out of it rather than talk about it, instead of finding different ways to make it better. And once you feel like, you know what, we've tried it and it didn't work, and
I think people are scared to be honest with each other because they don't know what that honesty, the way the other person's going to take that honesty from them, and it could be an eye opener, and like, oh my God, we realized some new thing about each other, and now we understand, and they evolve and move on, or they don't like what they hear, and that's it. Like,
a lot of people don't like what they hear.
I know, and then I can understand some points. Like, I don't know an example, but some things maybe are not something you can accept and learn to adapt to.
Yeah.
And that's understandable because, whatever that is. But I feel like if you care about the person that much, you should try to be open-minded to whatever they're bringing up to your attention, because obviously it's bothering them enough that it's causing them so much internal pain that it's coming out and it's lashing out to you,
Yeah.
And I feel like don't wait so long, and this goes across the board to any relationship. I think don't wait so long to bring things up that are bothering you, because then, like Eric mentioned, in a marriage, for example, the kids are gonna move out, and then you're gonna be there by yourselves. And like, what kind of rest of your life do you want to be living like in this relationship? Where I'd rather get to a point, you know what, if it's gonna be a divorce, get divorced, move your separate ways, and I'll be happy alone than being miserable together.
Yep. I feel like that is important as far as what you want your life to be. Like, do you want to have your entire life always miserable, or want to be happy, whether with this person or not?
Yeah.
My turn. Mine says, am I the asshole for refusing to share my home with my sister-in-law? But first, let me put on my glasses because I'm blind. All right. It says, I, 22 female, have been married to my husband, 26 male, for 2 months. We're currently in a 2-bedroom rental that's just for 2 of us, and we both really enjoy having our own space. I work from home, and so I spend almost all my time here, and I'm someone who really values my privacy. Recently, my husband suggested that we move into a bigger house, a 3-bedroom, where his sister, 19 female, could have a room. She'll be starting university next year, and his parents would help pay for part of her rent. A 1-bedroom apartment is too expensive for her, and would cost about twice as much as a room in our home. While I love his sister and I want to support her, I'm really not comfortable with this idea. For one, I really love my privacy and have the house to ourselves. I work from home, and I can't imagine having someone else in the house all the time, especially when it comes to things like hosting friends, having quiet time, or just being ourselves as newlyweds. I'm worried I'd feel like a roommate in my own home, and I'd never feel like it's our space anymore. I'm also concerned about the impact it would have on our relationship and how much of a disruption it could be to our routine. On the other hand, I can see the financial benefits, and I know my husband really wants to support his sister and help her out while she is in school. I really want to say yes, or rather I want to say yes, but I just don't know if I could compromise on this, especially when it feels like such a big change so early in our marriage. Am I being unreasonable for not wanting to live with her? Would I be the asshole if I said no to this arrangement? You will definitely not be the asshole. Especially because they're newlyweds, it's very difficult to have somebody else come into your home right when you just got married. I don't know if they lived together or not. It isn't before getting married, but you're still trying to get used to living with somebody else. You're trying to share your space with your spouse of 2 months in this case, and then to have somebody else come in, like a third person come in and try to share that, I feel like it's not good timing for them. I also feel like because she's starting college, she's gonna be, or university, she'd be there longer, like more than 6 months for sure.
If anything, that right away.
Like the 4 years, she'd probably be living with them like the entire time, and I would not want that. Like I feel like personally, we love our space. I wouldn't be able to feel comfortable. I wouldn't feel comfortable having somebody else come in and live with us, with the exception of our moms. I feel like that would be the only way where I would be like, okay, you know what, our moms are getting older, we are take care of them or whatever. Then I would feel like, yes, there's a room for them here, but I feel like somebody else, as far as like siblings, cousins, anybody, no. A few days, yeah. Like I feel like, especially right off the bat for them, where I feel
like if they're visiting, it's definitely not a problem.
Yes, yeah.
It's more like a quote unquote temporary living situation. I'm moving, give me a break, let me stay here. That usually turns into a longer situation than the couple days, the 2 weeks, the 1 month. And then like,
I feel like that brings problems to the relationship too.
Well,
somehow.
Specifically that couple, they just got married as soon as you like 2 months, and then she was gonna move in. I'm like Eric mentioned, let's say she's not a bad well, I'm gonna call her roommate, a bad roommate, but what if she does stay there for 4, 5, 6? We don't know how long she's gonna be in university.
Yeah.
Like, I thought right away after you brought that up, I was like, oh my God, can you imagine? They just got married, and then once she moves out, then you'll really get to know him, because like it's going to just be you two, and we don't know the prior history to that, but let's just assume that they never lived together. Can you imagine being slapped with the reality? It's like, oh God, I can't stand this guy anymore. I can't stand him after she moved out, because now you really see all the faults.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that right away. I was like, oh my God, I can't. But yeah, I don't think it would be a wise situation for them to accept those terms, mainly because of the fact that they just got married. They're
Yeah.
barely going to get to build their lives together, and then kind of incorporating a third person. It would just be a little. It would definitely cause a lot of problems.
Imagine.
And she's so young, so it's
I was
like
having like when we first got married, I was having somebody move in with
Yeah.
first. You barely getting used to me.
That's what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't really
Yeah.
get to know each other in a living environment space, because there's always that third person. So there's always something going on, and then that person leaves, and we're like just stuck with. Well, not stuck. You know, you're like, stuck with each other, and then it's like you start noticing everything that you didn't pick up on because the third person was a distraction. Yeah, I don't think so. The only way I think that would be workable is if the person had like an external room, like I'm saying, like above, like living in the garage, like in a living space there. You know what I mean? Like not attached to the house.
Not attached to the house.
I think that would work. I think that would be
better.
definitely acceptable. But within the house itself, that would be a really, really tough situation. And I think once you
honestly, as newlyweds, you want to walk around naked.
Do whatever. Like, there's so many things.
Newlywed stuff. Like,
they're going to be making love everywhere. Well, I would hope so if you're a newlywed. But or even if you're not new at whatever. but yeah, I just think and another thing would be if you open that door to that situation, like then something happens and you want to kick her out, then you're going to be the a-hole for wanting to kick her out.
Wanting to kick her out. Yeah.
And maybe you have a lot of good reasons to do that, but you know, you don't want to be that person that's like, okay, I'm going to kick her out.
Yeah.
Especially because she's in college.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think she's an asshole for wanting.
I don't think so either. I think I'm on her side, and I hope she chooses not to have her sister-in-law move in with him.
Now, moving on to the main topic of today's episode is adults going through depression.
Adults.
I don't know. Like, dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. This happens a lot.
Yes.
And it's very common, more common than you would think. And I'll let you start.
Okay. We decided to make this the topic of today's episode because from personal experience, I have been dealing with a lot of depression for a couple months, actually. And, you know, I've been getting better. That's the plus. So I think I want to say for the good solid 2 weeks, I've been really a lot better than I was prior to, because I feel like there was a couple weeks before that there was like a lot of ups and downs, and every day was like a roller coaster mentally for myself, and that like just brought on a lot of issues internally within myself. Not so much with our relationship. Because it's not Eric's fault, the way I feel, and I was not going to lash out on him for anything. I mean, we did have little moments, but more of a let me understand situation, not like fights about anything in particular. But yeah, I mean, I trailing back, just so you can have a little bit better understanding of why, I guess, the way I've been feeling. So mine kind of starts with like a family history of having depression with my grandmother being unknowingly being diagnosed because of back in the day. I feel like she was never properly evaluated, from what I've heard through the grapevine from the older cousins or whatnot, and other family members. You know, she did have a lot of depression. She was an only child. Possibly might have been because of postpartum, and they didn't know what that was at that time. And you know, it was quote unquote, all in Spanish terms, está loca. Esa está loca. Like, it was just like, she's crazy, like whatever, like stuff, you know, give her whatever medications, do whatever treatments you need to her, like just patch it up and go. Like, I think maybe she would have had proper care the way we do now, and how mental health has been such a big thing with everybody across the board. Because I even think as millennials, we still harbor a lot of like, we want to keep it secret, or it's like the word? They kind of were ashamed of it.
I feel like some people think it's like taboo to talk about.
Yeah, there you go. There's like more of a taboo, and I feel like now the children of the millennials, which is like a Gen Z and forward, are very open to it. You know, I know in other states and in certain businesses, companies, they even provide like mental health days throughout the month, which is awesome. And they give you, you know, some health insurances cover therapy, which ours does, thankfully. And, you know, there's just so much more awareness, so much more acceptance of it. And that's great. But I feel like anybody prior to, it's always been like kind of don't talk about it, especially within men. Men themselves, they don't want to admit that, you know, there's something wrong, they're depressed because they look weak because they're sad or whatever it is. And then within women, you know, they're labeled as crazy or emotional or whatever. So I feel like that's been a lot of problems for people that have mental health at a certain age or even younger. They just feel embarrassed, ashamed. They don't understand what they're going through, why they feel the way they feel. And like personally for myself, going off on that, I feel like I've always been a really peppy person, and I don't have anything to, you know, latch onto. It's like, oh, I had a bad childhood, or I was abused, or this or that, or any trauma, at least not that I remember. But yeah, I feel like I've always been blessed that, you know, my family accepted me for being gay and never had any problems with bullying, teasing here and there, yes. But, you know, that's always a thing. And I think that was more because you're gay, the gay kid or whatever, or you have that really squeaky voice when you're younger or whatever, like stuff like that. But it wasn't anything super bad where I felt like I was, you know, I had to hide and go cry somewhere. Just normal stuff. I think, if anything, it just growing up and getting older, you start getting more responsibilities and, you know, having to work and all the stuff that comes with being an adult. I think like I just kind of tried to keep the peppiness going all the time, which comes naturally to me. I feel for the most part. Eric's like, no, it's a lie.
No, it does. It comes naturally to you.
Yeah. So I feel like any times that I felt sad or I didn't understand as to why all of a sudden I just felt so overwhelmed or sad, or I felt like I had these dark thoughts, or whatever you want to call it, I would just kind of like suppress it. I wouldn't let myself feel the emotions that I need to feel and let it out. So I just kept like bottling up, and I feel that's where we are now at this point. Because Eric never really, I don't think throughout all of our years of marriage I've ever had like any moments of, or quote unquote signs of being depressed. And if I did, I didn't even realize it myself, to be honest, unless, you know, there were some deaths in the family, which is normal if you're sad during those times. But aside from that, I don't remember being like in these moments throughout.
I think that some of the arguments within our early part of our marriage could have been because of that, simply because, now that I'm thinking about it, and I've thought about that recently, is that a lot of the times I would tell you, well, you know, let's talk about it. Like, what's bothering you? And I know that something was bothering you, and you just didn't want to really talk about it, or you would just kind of brush it under. And I'd say, no, well, I want to talk about it. And to you, it's like, well, no, I'm already over it. And when in reality, you really weren't. And it's like, I'm already over it. It's just like, I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I feel like because you know, my mom and some of our family, like, we're never really, like, once again, the affectionate types and open up a relationship is kind of very, like, they deal with it on their own. Nobody talks about it. Everything's just, everybody just is there for a good time, but not like the reality of things.
My family, we talk about it. We talk about everything. And I feel that now that's changed. I don't want to say drastically, but I feel like it has changed drastically from when we first got married to now. And
it's taken time.
We've never actually, I mean, I can count in one hand the times that we've actually gone into like a
arguments,
a big argument, where it's like, you know, we'll bicker here and there, but a big argument, I can count on
like shouting and everything.
And I think the last one was like,
it's been quite a while.
It's been a while.
Time to start.
Time to renew it. But yeah, and I do think it could be not because of your depression, but mostly because you didn't want to talk about what was bothering you. So let's say something was bothering me about you, and I would talk about it, and I would want to talk about it. You'd be like, no, I don't want to talk about it right now, or just let it go, or whatever.
I felt very uncomfortable. It brought me a lot of anxiety. I just felt very uncomfortable talking about
Anything.
emotions. Yeah, like if it was, like I felt like it was a confrontation. That's the way I saw things. I thought everything was a confrontation rather than a discussion.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to deal with it. And that goes across the board with anybody. Yeah. So I just kept. I think since I never really learned how to handle situations in any aspect when it came to emotions or whatever, I felt like so overwhelmed that I just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I think that doesn't help, and I don't know. I mean, I'll bring it up now simply because could be part of it, but I don't know how it was with your past relationships where it's like you wouldn't want to maybe talk about it, or that confrontation.
Yeah, I was always that.
Like,
I can guarantee that if there was any problems, I wouldn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the way I am still, but I want to say was at the same time. But yeah, I mean, it got to the point and I feel like recently with the situation at the moment or whatever, honestly, it probably started like in June or July. Like I noticed that my ups and like I started feeling like just moments of in and out where I wanted, for some reason, I was just feeling sad or in a mood, and there was no reason to be. Like there was no extra stress, there was no extra weight on my shoulders. It was just like a normal routine, but it just felt like
which was odd for me because
they didn't show it.
No, because you did. You'd show it every now and then, but it was the reason I found it odd was because we've been through stress before. We've been through all of this, and those were the times that you weren't showing whether you were feeling it or not. You weren't showing it, and then I felt like these past months, like everything. I don't want to say smooth sailing, but pretty close to it. And I did think like, well, I even told you, I even mentioned it, like, well, how are you feeling? What are you feeling like this? Like, what makes you? What can we change? Like, what can we this? Like, what type of stress? And it's like, there wasn't really any stress per se, like throughout these past couple of months, where someone like me who doesn't really understand how in depth some depression can be for some people can be like, okay, and anybody can really think, well, why do they feel like this? Because they have all that. You can have anything and still feel depressed, and which is why what I was trying to understand when we talked. I know that you and I had a discussion and almost fully had a discussion of how you
I still didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and it was then that I felt, okay, so this is, I mean, I always knew it was serious, but it was then that I knew, okay, this is something that we need to work on, and you need to understand that I'm always going to be there. Like,
and stop pushing it.
Yeah. So that support, and I feel like maybe people that don't talk about their depression might feel that they don't have the support system that they need or that they want, and I fully wanted you, and I still want you to understand that you have that, not just with me, but you're with your family and with friends. But since I'm the one that you're with all day, every day, I want you to understand that I'm always going to be there, whether I understand it completely or not. I'm always going to be that support system that you need, to that shoulder to just cry on, and I always feel like it's good to cry, and some people say, don't cry, and I don't feel.
Yeah, I don't like when people say that. I hate when people apologize. I mean, it's built into us that we're like, oh, I'm so sorry for crying. Or, it's fine. I get more annoyed or frustrated when people tell people, don't cry.
Yeah.
You let them cry. Like, I feel, and this goes to anybody. Like, if you're sad, cry. Or during a movie, if you're going through something, a death in family, you're allowed to cry. It's normal. Let it out. Like, who cares what people think? Like, if anybody judges you for crying, they're an asshole.
Yeah.
Flat out. I'm not going to apologize or censor myself for saying that. They're an asshole, and they're rude for trying to make you stop feeling what you should be feeling and letting it out, because that's what I feel. At one point in time, I've probably suppressed a lot of things, not because somebody told me to, but I feel like I felt embarrassed and I didn't want to, be showing my emotions. And it just harbors, like you just build it in within yourself, and then you get to a point where you can't, hold it in anymore, and then you can have some sort of reaction, like a mental breakdown or, whatever, anything you want to call it.
Yeah.
Or an anxiety attack or whatever, and it's just it's not good. Like if you're feeling frustrated or you want to cry, just let it out. Find something to some sort of hobby or to let your frustration out. If you want to cry, then let your tears out. For whatever reason, it's very difficult to talk about anything like this to anybody, even you, because I mean, we had that moment when finally it's like I don't know what we were doing.
We're
and
in
Eric
bed.
knew that we were already like, I was already having some moments, and he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing. And the more somebody I don't want to say you were pestering me, but the more somebody tries to get something out of you, the more you want to just shut it in.
Yeah.
And he learned to just like, okay, you know what? Something's really bothering him. I'm not going to keep picking at it, because I feel like if he would have kept picking at me, like I would have gotten even more upset. Like just let that person come to you when they're ready to let it out. And it had already been for a while, like where I just kept having these ups and downs, and for no reason. Sometimes, like, when in particular that time I was getting the venue ready. You came and you were doing some stuff, and I had some sad music, and I just started crying, like, just because like the words and the songs, whatever. And I wanted purposely to hear music like that because I wanted to just like let it out. And then you told me, like, well, that's not gonna help your situation. You didn't say in a rude way, but you're just kind of like trying to make me feel better, like turn it off because then you're just gonna feel sad. But at the same time, like I feel like I was purposely doing it to myself because I did want to let it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, after a while, like I'm like, okay, I do need to stop, switch it out, because I feel like I was just like letting it consume, like I was feeding that emotion too much, and I needed to cut it off. So I had stopped. But that was the day that we came home afterwards, and I just felt so mentally drained. I didn't want to do anything. I was doing something here, something super minimal, and I just got so frustrated. I just went I went to go lay down, and I just didn't want. I just like wanted to just knock out. I didn't want to do anything anymore. I just felt overwhelmed. We started. You asked me how I was feeling, and I finally opened up about a lot of stuff. Not fully like you mentioned, but I feel like that's probably been the most I've ever honestly admitted to someone how I've been feeling or how my mind has been working in those past few months. And I'll be honest, like I just been, and even now, like we're talking about it, it is opening up that door, but not in a bad way, just because I want to talk about it and make people understand more of what I'm going through. But there have been times where I'm just kind of like, I get tired of my life, and I feel ashamed or embarrassed to admit that, because like we don't lack anything. Like we just mentioned, I have so much to live for and so much I should be grateful for. I am grateful for, excuse me. If I wanted to talk to anybody about anything, I have my friends, our friends. I have Eric, obviously number one. I have my mom, my family, my sister. I mean, there's so many people that have reached out to me because I have mentioned it in here and there on social media. And I did take some time away from social media, just like not posting anything. I would still be on it, but I just wouldn't post anything because it just didn't feel like I needed to explain anything to anybody at that time. But, it's embarrassing, and I feel ashamed that I'm admitting that I wouldn't want to be around anymore. But that's how I have felt in these past few weeks, months, and I still feel like that sometimes, not as strongly anymore. But I just, it's something that I just. Like it was a very repetitive thing, like okay, and there's like, well, yeah, that's life. Like we have to go through our routines, and no matter who you are, what you do, you're always gonna end up going through repetitive things that you have to do every day, every week, every month, every year, and that's kind of like what I don't know. I couldn't get through my head, like well, I'm tired of that. Like there's nothing that I need to live for anymore. And I even admitted to him, like, I don't think about suicide per se, and like I'm gonna do this and this and do that, but I do think like of not just being around. Like, I wish I could just go to sleep one day, and today, that day would be the day that I decided, I wasn't going to wake up. I don't want to hurt myself, but I just don't feel like being around. And this part I didn't admit to you, and I'll admit it now because like we're already talking about it. But there have been some cases where I get so worked up in my head. So worked up in my head where I'm just thinking to myself, like, what day would it be a good time to do that? Like, where would I do this? Where would I, like, not cease to exist anymore? I don't really want to do it at the house because that's our home and I don't want to taint our home. Like, would it be in a car? Like, okay, it would be in a car, but like, around what time? Because I don't want to do it around the holidays because it's a happy time. I don't want to do it around our birthdays. I don't want to do it around... My mind just goes and starts getting worked up. It starts off like the smallest thing and it just turns into a snowball effect and it just tumbles and tumbles. And I know that sounds really crazy because people are like, he's crazy. But, that's how my mind works. Like, I want to put so much effort into something to the point where it's like I'm thinking of the right time. When would be the right time where I wouldn't bother anybody or affect anything going on? And I did in Materic where like I've even thought about like secretly having, unknowingly a going away party because I'm just like, I would like to say goodbye to everybody without them knowing what was going to happen. But, at least I got that last like moments with them or that one last experience to spend with them. Or, like, I don't know, I just think so many stuff and I'm sure I don't make a lot of sense, but, it does get to the point where I think about stuff like that. And mainly I don't bring it up or talk to anybody because I don't want anybody to judge me for thinking that I'm like nuts or I need to be watched all the time because he's going to do something or be like babied. And we got to the point where I ended up, Eric mentioned like, well, maybe let's go to talk to the doctor, our doctor, about how you've been feeling. And coincidentally, it was already time for our yearly checkup and blood work and all that. So we did, and I was going to talk to him during that time, but then they give you like one of those seasonal depression little surveys. And I was honest that time. I was like, I'm not going to just mark it and just make them think or make them see what they want to see, which is a happy person, right? That would have been a lie. But I was very honest. Like, I wasn't being extreme. I wasn't being dramatic when I responded to everything the way it was, because at that point in time, that very moment, I was feeling all those high risk, check 1 through 5, it was a 5, a 5, a 5, a 5, or whatever it was, the highest ranking. So when I finally got to see the doctor and we started talking about stuff, he did bring it up like, I have some concerns and I saw, your survey. I'm like, well, I was going to bring that up anyways. And we started talking. I love our doctor. We love our doctor. He's such a good doctor. He has like the best bedside manner. He's so understanding.
Shout out to Dr. Crespo.
Yes, we love you. And the staff there. So he was really like, letting me explain to him the way I've been feeling, why I've been feeling the way I have been. And we finally, he mentioned, well, the way, with everything you're telling me, I would suggest counseling, therapy. If you want to go on if you want to have medication, I can prescribe you some medication. He was letting me cater like what I wanted to do, but he wanted me to do something because, he was concerned about all of this. So I finally told him like, I'll consider therapy and counseling and all that stuff when I'm ready to open up to somebody. But as far as the medication, I don't mind it. And mind you, before anybody thinks anything, I had already been working out, trying not to stress, like all the stuff that you would be told, walk away, relax, all that stuff, what I'm referring to. So medication was the bottom of my list, to be honest, because I mentioned to him, and I did mention to him, like, I don't really want to go on medication because I'm worried that I'm going to be too dependent on it. If I stop or don't take the dosage, am I going to go like all haywire? or if I'm going to be like a zombie where I'm just kind of ghosting by. And, I had all my concerns with medication, and he told me, that he would put me on something that he felt would suit me the best and just try it out. I told him that I would, which I have been on for about
2 months?
2 solid months, going on 3, I think, already. And it's like a mild antidepressant, and he put me on a low dosage just to try it out. To be honest, the first 3 or 4 days, I did feel a little funny, like a little lightheaded, a little like, I get like not drowsy, like dizzy. Like, I don't know, I just felt a little fuzzy. And I even told you at a party, like the second day, that like by the second day I was taking the medication, we had to go to a party, and I felt like a little out of it. I just was like kind of trying to stay focused and centered, but those effects went away like after like 5 days. So I've been on it since then, and it's been working really great.
Have you been taking the gummies?
Well, that's what I was about to mention too. Like about a week or two later, long story, but I started looking into some like natural supplement type of things, and after doing a good amount of research and figuring out what was going to work best for me, I looked into the Olly gummies, and those have been working really great, guys. I do recommend those if you look into it. That if you're considering something before you take any medication or whatever, it's mainly just vitamin D and some other flour, like a natural flour that's supposed to help with like your boost your mood, your endorphins, and those are the only 2 ingredients in it.
I'll link them in the description.
Yeah, I really think, and they're really affordable. A lot of people were saying that they were really working great for them, and I feel like for myself, it's been working really great as well. So I take my medications, medication, and then the gummies in the morning. I've been doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I think overall, I've just been trying to, come to terms with a lot of stuff that I need to internally deal with. And
I'm always afraid to ask. I ask you, like, how are you feeling today? Have you you
don't want to be that person where it's
but
like,
I don't want to be overbearing or on you all the time, where it's like constantly asking you about it, because I feel like once you feel comfortable talking to me about it, you'll do it again. If you felt comfortable once, and I'm expecting that and hoping that it would happen again without me
having to bring
it up all the time, because I also feel like if I bring it up again, and you haven't been feeling that way, maybe it'll trigger something. And so I never, in the sense of that situation, I would never know what to do or how to act, because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
And see, that's what I feel like I'm worried with certain people when they, I've had a handful of people that I've either texted with a lot regarding everything that I've been going through, because I've sort of made it more public. And they're like, well, I feel the same way or whatever, or in person that we've interacted with as far as friends, and they do get a little bit more. Obviously, I don't go into super depth with everything, but they do feel a little like caught off guard as to what I tell them, because I guess I don't expect it.
I think out of everybody that anybody knows, he would be the last one they'd expect it from, because he's always so chipper. So when someone finds out that you're going through that, it's like, what? Like, Pete? Like, are you sure? And it's like,
and not to say that, there's a stereotype, like,
but it just kind of goes in with nobody really knows how somebody.
That's what I meant. That's what I was going to get to.
How somebody feels,
because somebody could be super sad and look quote unquote super sad, and they're not, and vice versa.
Yeah. So, but honestly, I'm glad that you are opening up here, because it's one. I feel like it'll reach people that may be going through the same thing, that feel it, that they can't talk about it. And two, I like that you're talking about it, because you're kind of letting it out more. And, it'll hopefully make you feel better now that, you're expressing more than before.
And if anything, not a lot of people knew what was really, really going on, besides just like, I didn't want to sound that it sounded cryptic, because it wasn't very cryptic. But I guess they didn't know how in depth everything was going, or what I was going through. Once I posted the second time around, like, it was a little bit more open there. And even my mom, and that was the last part. Nobody knew I was on medication or anything like that. Nobody.
knows now?
She will now if somebody tells her. But I had only told maybe like 2 people from my family and like those handful of friends.
Yeah.
Mainly, I was trying to hide it from my mom because I didn't want to worry her. She's already a certain age. We've had a lot of stuff going through the family, and right away, as soon as she's mentioned it to me, like when I posted what I posted, she's like, "Well, why did you put what you put?" And I'm like, "Well, because that's how I feel. Like, that's like, what do you mean? Why did I put what I put? Like, it wasn't. It's not something that I would post just to post it. Like, there was a reason why." And she, of course, right away, she's like, "Well, don't feel." She got, very motherly, very concerned. And just a little backstory. She has a reason to, because we do have. I do have a sibling who did commit suicide several years ago, and there's been other cases, or another case similar. And it was just, I think it gave her kind of like a flashback, or I think she got worried that something extreme would happen, and that was the last thing I wanted her to think, that I was going to do something or whatever. Like I mentioned, even though I think about not being here in this world, I don't think about hurting myself. I don't know if people understand, like, how can that be if that's not the same, but it is like, I don't think about like the harm of doing something like X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And we all know what any possibility of those things, but I'm not going to bring those specifics up. But yeah, I don't think about doing the harm to myself. It's just more of the just not being here part. And I think that's what she got worried about right away, like that I was going to hurt myself or whatever. And right away she's like, "Well, you can always talk to me." And it's like, yeah, but I don't want to talk to anybody about it. That's what some people don't understand. Like, they offer the help, which I'm very grateful for. I appreciate everybody's concern and reaching out to me and, lending their ear. But it's not something that I even want to talk to Eric about, who I spend all my time with.
Yeah.
It's just very hard because I feel like even though you might explain a lot of stuff, they might have a hard time understanding, regardless of what you're feeling or thinking. And also, I don't want them to have like this different take on who I am.
I don't think that would change the way people think of you. Mm-hmm. It just gives them a different perspective of...
Yeah, that's what I'm perspective.
Like, of your life and how, what your life really is.
Yeah.
Or how your feelings really are. Because, and I'm going to tell you this, like I've told you this that day, and I've told you this before, like, I know you feel, you've said, like, I don't feel like hurting myself, but I don't want to be here, I don't want to exist, but know, and I that you are important. You're important. Like, you're important to the world, you're important to my world, you matter 150%. You matter. And you may not feel it sometimes, and you may feel like, what am I here for? Mm-hmm. But you have a purpose, and you are somebody's world, and that somebody's me and your family, and I just wish that there was a way that I could help you understand that how important you really are, and how special you make people feel just by being around them and just by doing little things, and not just for me, but just the way you make other people feel, like our friends and I know family, they feel great because you're an amazing person. I mean, and I'm not just saying it because you're my husband, because anybody who's listening to this or watching this and that know you personally will definitely agree that you are an amazing person to be around, amazing person to have in their lives. Rather than, there's people who are horrible, who I feel that shouldn't be in this world, and I feel like, that's they, I don't want to say they deserve it, but it's just like there's people who we could be in the world without, and you are not one of them. I mean, I'll say it, and it's like sounds a little cliche, but you are my everything, and you kind of know. I mean, you know that. It may or may not change the way you think and feel, but my world literally revolves around you. And I want to be that rock and that pillar for you, where it's like, that's, if you need a light at the end of that tunnel, I want to be there, be that for you, because I know you are that for me. Whenever I feel, I can't say that I feel sad or depressed in the extent that you do, but whenever I feel like there's tough times, or there's something bad, and I feel, I can't get through it, I know that you're there, and I want you to always know that I am there. And I'm not the only one there, but I am there.
Hands are cold, right?
Okay, guys, this episode was a little different, and I really do
Everybody's
hope...
like, dun, dun, dun.
No, I hope you stayed this far. If you did stay this far, put some little mics in your comment, and I hope that you guys are having a great day. If you feel like you're going through something, there's not anyone out there to help you or for you to talk about, know that we are here to talk about. You can always email us. Our email is in the description. You can always DM us on Instagram and TikTok and all of that. And know that you're not alone. Know that you have somebody who will be there for you.
Yeah, like Eric mentioned, there's always going to be a tough time for everybody, and whether it's somebody in real life, on social media, drawing, whatever way you want to handle it, because it's never a good thing to just keep it bottled up, because eventually you'll get to a point where you get so consumed and you have a bit of a moment, the way I want to call it, a moment, or something worse, which is not something that anybody should end up having to go through. But yeah, with that being said, I'm trying to get my chipperness back. But yeah, with that being said, I feel like today's been a good episode to finally talk about this with everybody. And even though it was a little nervous once we got started, I was like, oh, and in my head, I'm like, should we talk about that?
I don't know.
I was like backpedaling, but I was like, no, let's just go ahead and, it's fine. I feel comfortable enough.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you do. And I'm
actually have a bit of a headache now.
See?
Yeah, but it's okay.
We'll drink some.
I'll drink a Coke.
Like a shot of tequila or something.
Oh, no.
But honestly, that is what the podcast is mainly about, because we want to bring up different topics. Some of them may be tough, but I do want us to talk about different topics, whether one of us is going through, what family members may be going through, our friends may be going through, anybody in general may be going through.
So we can
bring
relate
it
to.
up, just because somebody will relate to you, and that's what's important. And we want to have this space to be able to talk about things. And let us know in the comments below what you guys think of today's episode, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Yeah.
We will talk to you guys.
I had to throw that in there because we had to.
We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.
If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, please reach out for help by calling or texting the 188 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. This service is available 24/7 and provides confidential support for anyone in crisis or emotional distress.